Okay, now the question I asked was this. Granted, maybe it's a confusing question. Okay, it's about the brain as a computer analogy. Okay, and I'll take for granted that we know that this analogy is limited. A computer is nothing like a human brain. But ironically, there is some of the metaphors do work because the terms in computers actually come from cognitive terms like memory. We use memory that comes from an idea about humans and human minds, not computers. So uh, we use that metaphor for computers, and it somewhat does reflect back into the human condition as well. But functionally very different things. Now, a computer is a Turing machine, and the Turing machine is a very simple, definition for a machine, what a machine would have to do to be able to run, any of the programs that we have. And basically, there's a theory which is, uh, proves if a machine can run a certain kinds of instructions that in a certain very simple way, then it'll be able to run any of the programs that other Turing machines can run. Okay, it might be more difficult or less difficult to write those based on the actual design of that actual machine. Um, but any of the machines will run it. So that's where a piece of software becomes separate from the actual design of the machine, because the idea of a Turing machine is just an abstraction. The an actual Turing machine has to have an actual design, and there's you know infinite, I would guess, many, 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 many different ways to build these Turing machines. A human mind can behave as a Turing machine. And I said that and stick him, and he's like, human mind isn't a Turing machine. I know, but we can read the rules of a Turing machine and execute them, given instructions. But we'd be a very slow Turing machine, but whatever. It could still be done. But a brain could do more. It's more than a Turing machine. I don't believe that the brain, I don't tend to believe it's even computable, a personality and idea. I think it's using some of the weird physics that we have discovered to be beyond a mere Turing computational type machine. So anyway, so all these different kinds of machines can run the program. So if I'm going to describe a word processor, uh, I do that in terms of how a human being interacts with it. And that's different from saying it ran an Intel chip. It had this kind of motherboard. There was a display board. It was built in, or it was a Mac, or it was, an iPod even. It doesn't matter what kind of machine it was. When I'm describing how that software interacts with humans, all that really matters is the interface. And of course, the machine's interface would matter, the fact that the screen was tiny or something. But you could plug in a big screen to that little Turing machine, and you have a little screen on the other Turing machine. So these things are all normalizable, and it doesn't really matter what kind of machine it's running on when you describe the word processor. It doesn't matter if it's a two-core machine and all the rest of it. Okay. Now, the question is the human brain like that? Is the brain like a machine that runs programs our ideas? Now, obviously, it's much more than a Turing machine. It's a mind machine. Let's assume it uses more than what a computer can do. Not only is it parallel, but it has functions in it that a computer doesn't have. Just for the sake of argument, to make it at least distinct, which I believe that it is, and it's basically proven that it is. We're more than Turing machines, and I don't even think we're computable in any way. I don't think a Turing machine will ever simulate a human brain. So, still though, it is some kind of a machine. It is some kind of a device. Does it run programs in the same sense that there's equivalent devices that could run those same ideas? And this is akin to saying, could we build a computer that we could copy our ideas into it, right? If we could build a computer or some other device that would be a mind device, but maybe, just like a Mac is different from a PC, this would be different from a brain and use different materials or something, but it would be functionally equivalent, like all Turing machines are, and it would run those ideas. Is that possible? Or is the ideas in a brain that we feel as the software, when we're interfacing as software basically, or metaphorically as software, you know, are we intrinsically built into the brain as it is? And there is no a brain running other software. The brain is the software. And that was my question, and you can't assume what my answer would be because I haven't given my answer.